Hello, everyone, and welcome to OHSC Interviews. I'm Vasu Bharadwaj, and I'm your host for today's episode. Today, I'm happy to have with me the next Conservative MP for Oxford, Arpan Khanna. Arpan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Vasu. How are you?
Good. It's great to have you on. Congratulations on your recent victory, and we can't wait to see you in the House of Commons.
No, Vasu, thank you so much. And it's such a blessing to be the newly nominated candidate here in Oxford. A lot of work to do, but we're excited and we're ready to hit the ground running.
For sure. I mean, that should be the motto of any campaign, just to, get on the ground, do the work, and, get every single vote possible and talk to
Absolutely.
constituents, communicate. So I usually start the interview off by asking everyone, how'd you get started into politics?
Yeah, I got started when I was about 9 years old. My father took me on my first campaign, and then from there, as I got older, I got interested in politics. When I went to university, that's when it really took off. I got involved with the campus club, the conservative Western club that we had at the university. I joined the club, became the vice president, and then after that, I became the president of the club. And from there, got an internship at Queen's Park, went to Queen's Park, and the rest is history. So I got a great opportunity to work with various government leaders in opposition, in government, at all levels of government, and it's been a blessing ever since. And it's I always say that the next generation to get involved early and make sure you guys go and campaign and learn a lot of things and join the Conservative Party.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I've heard lots of this being mentioned on the show, The Political Bug. And I think you've been bit by it since a pretty young age. That you've been bit into politics and you've kind of never gone back. I mean, it's a great place to be. It's a great atmosphere, great energy, and it's really hard to go back.
Yeah, you make a lot of friends, right? You make a lot of friends. And especially when you're fighting for your values, right? I think in politics, people always give politics a bad name. But if you look at the good work you do in politics, it's public service at the end of the day. It's about serving the people and making the country a better place than when you first started. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to run for the Oxford nomination is that, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, people do see that our country is broken. And I think we need that strong leadership of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives to come back in power. And that's why I got involved in politics, is to make that difference, to restore that hope and faith in our politicians and hold them to account. But also remind everyone that politicians are public servants and they work for the common people. And I think that's a very important message we have to get back, and bring that service element is one of the reasons why I did decide to run.
Yeah, 100%. Talking of representing the people, let's hop right into our first question, which has to do with your nomination in Oxford.
Yes.
So we're going to be hopping into our question and answer segment, and these questions are asked by members of our high school team. The first one comes from Triffin, and he wants to ask you, what do you have to say about the controversy surrounding your nomination, and how do you plan to reconcile with the Conservatives who didn't support you during your nomination?
Absolutely. Great question for us. Look, the nomination process, it's, I love open, fair nominations, and it's good to have that. And we were given a strong mandate by the memberships. I always get, with nominations, you're always fighting other Conservatives, and it's sad because you're fighting within the family. But that's behind us now. I was given a very, very strong mandate. I won our first ballot victory. And on our campaign, we had folks from all across Oxford get behind us, whether you lived in Tavistock, Ingersoll, Tillsonburg, Woodstock, Norwich, just across the county. We had a great amount of support, and our message really resonated with our community. Winning our first ballot and actually bringing folks from all walks of life. We have farmers who have been there for multiple generations. We had the auto sector workers who work at the Cami or Toyota plant. We had new families that moved into the riding now and want to get that fresh start. We had such positive energy going into the campaign, and I'm very grateful that the membership put their trust in me. And now you're right. In the by-election, we have to go beyond our membership and build the trust of the Oxford residents. And every single day we're working hard and building that trust. So I've been on the road the next day after being nominated, 10, 11 in the morning. I was at meetings with folks, thanking them, but also trying to make sure that we get our message out. And like I said in the starting, Pierre Poilievre's message is resonating. People are sick and tired of Justin Trudeau and the chaos he's caused in our country. People are struggling to get by. and Oxford is looking for someone to be a strong champion who's not going to be afraid to raise their issues, who's not going to be afraid of the hard work, and who actually understands their values. So that is my commitment to the residents of Oxford, is that every single day you'll have an MP, a public servant in Ottawa who's going to be fighting for our values and who's going to give it his all and making sure that Oxford is front and center in Parliament and that our issues are heard.
100%. And I don't think you could have said that any better. I think the most important thing when it comes to an MP doing their job is delivering change and delivering the problems of their constituents. And I have to say, you have been a champion of change through all the various roles you've had in government, and especially with the recent leadership position you had on Pierre's campaign. So speaking of Pierre's campaign, let's talk a little bit about that. A large part of his campaign, especially here in the GTA, how did it feel to win the largest share of the vote on the first ballot in the Conservative Party history, even more than Harper? And what does this show about the new Conservative movement?
So also, like any campaign, I played a small role. It wasn't a big role. I played a small role in helping Pierre win. And I think for us, it felt amazing because Pierre is a really genuine leader. I'm not sure, if you look at where he comes from, his story is very humbling. He's not from a rich family. He's not a trust fund baby. He's an adopted son, to an unwed mother earlier was born. And he's married to a Venezuelan refugee, and his story is very inspiring. And he understands the pain that Canadians are going through. So for us, getting his message out, he's a hard worker. He understands the issues, and he's genuine. Canadians want a leader who's not going to be talking in sound bites, but is going to be talking about the real issues and putting forward a real plan to get our country back on track. And he has that. Pierre has those capabilities. And that's one of the reasons why I endorsed and supported his campaign, was because he gets it. He gets the struggle of everyday Canadians. And he's not going to forget that at the end of the day, the people that put him in power are the people he has to serve. So for us, we had a great campaign. Social media was a great aspect of that campaign as well. We all know the media is not on our side sometimes, and that's why we've committed to defund the CBC and put $1 billion back in the pockets of the taxpayers. But we need to have leaders like Pierre who are not going to be afraid to tackle these challenges. And sometimes you got to make those tough challenges. And Pierre has that vision, the energy, the drive. He's one of the hardest working guys I know. I've traveled with him quite a bit, and he actually cares. I think when politicians feel entitled and they feel disconnected from the community, the residents, that's when they start making policies that hurt the country. But Pierre actually cares. He's a grassroots individual, and we built a grassroots movement with hundreds of thousands of new memberships in our party. We signed up over 300,000 new memberships in our party. We broke fundraising records with the average donation size being a very, very small amount. And like you said, we won a first ballot with 68%, which is a very, very strong mandate for the members of our party. So I'm looking forward to serving under his leadership and helping him get our country back on track.
I do want to say one thing. You said you were a small part of his campaign, and I have to say any part in a campaign is a large part, because of course you can deliver good speeches. Of course you can, have a good message, but without volunteers, without that base, without that foundation, there's nothing, right?
We're all volunteers. Absolutely. We're all volunteers. We all got behind him, and everyone put their energy in behind him and wanted to make sure that he was our next prime minister. So we're just getting started, right? The job is not done. And, we're going to call on all the volunteers, all the supporters to put their energy in and make sure that we push him over the top and bring home a strong Conservative government with Pierre Poilievre as our Prime Minister.
100%. So I want to move. I do want to say one question, and this comes from Hayden, and he wants to ask you: with the new ban on firearms pushed by the Liberal government, is it important to ask whether you believe the right to firearms is a human right?
I think Hayden has a very valid, question. Look, firearms have been, legal guns in our community have been a part of the Canadian tradition. Whether you're a hunter, whether you're a sports shooter like me, I'm a licensed gun owner. I've been shooting since 2015. I'm a sports shooter. I love shooting trap on the weekends with my friends. I was part of IPSC. So for me, I love doing it, and it's something that I enjoyed. Hunters are all, always, relying on their firearms. And for me, I think it's just, it's more of protecting our right. It's about keeping our tradition alive. And what the Liberals have been doing is that they've been going after law-abiding gun owners while letting repeat violent gang offenders get a slap on the wrist. And for me, it's about protecting our tradition, but also making sure that we punish those that are smuggling the illegal guns. Because if you ask the police, 82% of the gun crime that happens is from illegal firearms that are smuggled through the borders, that are brought in illegally, or nowadays people are printing off of 3D printers. So for me, it's not about, we have to targeting lawful gun owners. It's about, making sure we put those criminals that are using smuggled guns behind bars. It's about enforcing our borders to make sure the guns don't get into this first place. And with the Liberals, what do we get in return? A catch and release bail system where they're letting violent repeat offenders off the hook. So if someone uses the firearms, they should be in jail, not out on bail. And Pierre has been very, very clear about this. And I look forward to working with him to make sure that we have a tough on crime agenda where those that are breaking the law, because you and I both know, Vasu, those that are breaking the law don't care to follow rules. So you can put as many rules as you want for the farmer or for Grandpa Joe or for the sports shooter like me. We'll follow the rules, but the criminals will not. And that's why we have to shift our focus. And we've seen this story for Liberals trying to attack firearm owners. It's been a costly failure, and we have to stop this attack on our farmers.
I mean, this is not just a one-off incident with the Liberal government. They always attack, or they always want to perceive to the population, hey, that we're doing the right thing, we're doing this. But they're actually just attacking law-abiding citizens who do good for Canada, citizens who have families, who are just trying to get by on a month-to-month basis. I mean, those are the people he's attacking. And to be honest, it's not just with firearms. Look at the financial burden he's put Canada in as well. Think about all the people who have been struggling financially recently due to the cost of living crisis, right? So it's not just a one-off event where this government is making people struggle, right? It's not a one-off event. So
and that's the thing with this government, is that they want to divide Canadians. They want to do a lot of fear-mongering, a lot of misinformation. It's bumper sticker politics. They're just trying to pass in key snappy ideas that actually don't get results for Canadians. And Canadians are tired of that. And that's why I'm a big believer that after 8 years of Justin Trudeau's failed policies with the NDP coalition, their dance partners, I think people are now out of money and they're struggling. And that's why we've seen, 1.5 million Canadians go to a food bank in 1 month. That was not the Canada my parents chose to come to. I'm sure that's not the Canada your parents chose to come to Canada. So that's what we have to, make sure that we fight back on. And that's why I come back to this again. We need common sense policies working for the common people.
100%. I don't think any Canadian could disagree with you there, that we need common sense policies, just common sense enacted in government rather than a bunch of bureaucracy and with this costly coalition. So I'm going to move on to our next question, and this comes from Tippy Top, and he wants to ask, are you completely opposed to MAID? And if so, will you support doctors giving freedom of conscience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, right now there's a bill that was in front of Parliament where the radical left liberal ideology is trying to expand the use of medical assistance in dying. I think I'm absolutely against that. We've seen this be used and abused. Under Liberal government, we have a single parent who is struggling to put food on the table for their kids, being offered medical assistance in dying. We've seen that veteran who has served our country for freedom being offered medical assistance in dying. I've seen that the youth, that teen in high school and university who's had mental health struggles be offered this. That should not be the solution. We shouldn't be giving into despair. I think we have to value human life, and for me, I think we have to give hope, give support, give treatment. That's what we should be doing as a country, is giving that hope and not giving into despair. So for me, I'm definitely opposed to that. And if this bill comes to floor when I'm in Parliament, I'll be voting my conscience as well. And I think doctors should be given that choice as well. I don't think they should be mandated and forced to make take medical procedures in their hand if they don't want to. I think we live in a free country, and that's the beauty of our country, and we should stand up for those values. And again, life is going to have the ups and downs, and I think we as a government should not be pushing people off and giving them a way out if they don't want to. And I've seen heartbreaking stories of this, and I will definitely oppose that.
100%. And you want to know what? With MAID, it's not only a pattern with this Liberal government, but any type of left-leaning leader. I mean, for example, look at Toronto, right? Look at the drug problems there. And they have injection sites, right? And you're not really controlling the problem. you're just saying, well, the government is coddling society and saying, well, we'll just give you the easy way out, right? We're not going to help with your actual problem. We're going to give you the easy way out. And I think Pierre has been very clear on this message that he will deliver real change to help Canadians, not just, feel these addictions, feel these problems, and say, hey, look, you're on your own, right?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, there's no safe way of doing dangerous drugs. That's the bottom line. And we've seen in Vancouver at East Hastings Street what has happened there. There's a tent city that's being popped up. It's become like almost like a war zone. And it's sad to see that, because we are a compassionate country. We are a great country. And we should not be giving up on our citizens. And we've seen in Alberta and other provinces, when you do invest in support and treatment, you can get those results. So for Pierre, that's one of our priorities. We're going to make sure that those pharmaceutical companies that push these hard opiate drugs into our system, we're going to file a lawsuit against them, take that money and put that towards treatment, and give people hope again, and let them want to live as opposed to drug their bodies and end their lives.
100%. So I want to move on to the final segment of today's show, and it's called Advice for the Next Generation, where we will be talking about youth involvement in politics and more. So what should young high school conservatives do in order to get more politically active, and what is one piece of advice you'd like to give them? Where we will
I think just get out there. I think, my whole life I was blessed to have been involved in politics for a very long time. I met a lot of great folks on the campaign trail. And look, sometimes it's not easy because, you're concerned, you're worried. But, for high school students, it's the easy way to get your 40 hours of community service. That's an easy way to get involved and see if you like politics. And I always say this, I'm like, look, don't just, I'm not saying the Conservative Party is the greatest party. I personally think so, but get involved with any party. Find what party speaks to your values. And once your values align with a certain party, get involved, help shape our country. There's a lot of great young candidates out there as well who you can relate with. I know sometimes if there's an age gap with the candidate, sometimes, you don't feel comfortable, but right now there's a lot of great candidates across the GTA, across our great country, that want to get the next generation involved. Our time passes. It's on you guys to shape the future, and so and whatever issues you guys may have, whether it's mental health, jobs, academics, get involved, find that mentor, get to know the system. And the beautiful thing with politics is that more you put in, the more you get out of it. It's a beautiful system where you volunteer, you make those friendships, you make those relationships, and they'll help you in your life in one way or the other. And the other thing is you learn so much about yourself. When you're put on the spot, you're going door to door, you're meeting Canadians, you're meeting friends, you learn so much about yourself as well. So I always say, just get involved, just do it. Again, if it's not the Conservative Party, find a different party that you relate to, show up, get involved. You won't regret it. And, it's been a blessing for me because I started off as a youth as well. And I am where I am because of those great interactions I had. And you don't have to be always forward facing. There's other campaign roles on each campaign. There's putting up signs, helping with, correspondence, helping with comms, helping with the event planning. So sometimes people get shy that they don't want to be at the doors. They don't want to talk to somebody, but campaigns have all type of skill sets required. So just reach out and also get involved with the OHSCA. And when you're in university, make sure you get involved with the campus clubs. Almost every campus club has it set up. And you just get involved with their youth programs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I said back in grade 9, so 2 years ago during the 2021 federal election, I said, well, I need my 40 volunteer hours. So I said, okay, a federal election has been called. Let me go volunteer. And little did I know that volunteering would just expand my horizons by a whole ton, and I would be this involved in politics to this date. So, I mean, just taking that first step, getting involved. And also another thing is, working on a campaign helps to build so many skills that are unimaginable, right? Like for example, with like canvassing, right? It helps to build your social skills. It helps to build how well you can think on the spot, right? And it's just a great experience. And also you get free pizza after canvassing, so that's another plus.
Pizza's always good, but you're right. The skill set you learn, the people confidence that it gives you to talk to people. It goes along. That's applicable in any field, any go to. So definitely get involved.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much, Arpan, for your time today. We really appreciate you being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you as the MP for Oxford.
I look forward to seeing you guys soon, and hopefully you come down and volunteer with us in Oxford County. So talk to your friends, and we'll love to have you guys on the ground here as well.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Vasu.